class 12th. Now we are on the third part of genetics of the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation, that is genetics. Now the test cross. We had studied before also in a previous video that heterozygous, that is the heterozygous progeny of the F1 is now crossed with the homozygous dwarf parent, which is called as the test cross. And what is the phenotypic ratio that we are getting as the product? That is 50-50%, that is one tall to one dwarf. So one tall will be, that will be heterozygous and dwarf will be homozygous. Now homozygous and a heterozygous parent, there is the difference between the two. When a tall parent is crossed with the dwarf, if all the offspring are tall, then it means the tall parent is homozygous. But on the other hand, if the 50% dwarf individual among the offspring, then it means the tall parent is heterozygous. So we are going to do it in the reverse direction. On the basis of the products of the progeny formed, we will see what the parent can be. The parent is homozygous or heterozygous. Okay. This is also an example of, now there is an unknown dominant phenotype. We don't know what is the phenotype, sorry, the genotype. Okay. And phenotype you can see as the black sheep. Okay. And over here that is the recessive, that is the small b and the small b. Now we can perform 2 in the Punnett square. Okay. Now on the basis of the products form, the progeny form, we can see that what the parent is. The parent is homozygous or heterozygous. Okay. Now if unknown is homozygous, then the phenotypic ratio will be 100% black. And if the unknown is heterozygous, then the phenotypic ratio will be 50-50%. That is 1:1 ratio. Okay. In the next slide, it's the same diagrammatic representation of the test cross as given in your NCERT book of the homozygous recessive or the homozygous recessive that can be crossed either with the heterozygous or homozygous. Homozygous is capital W, and heterozygous is capital W and the small w. You can see the change in the product form. The change in the product form are, that is all flowers are violet. So all flowers are violet with the homozygous. But half of the flowers are violet and half of the flowers are white. Then it is heterozygous condition. So this is the interpretation that we are getting. Now the Mendel's law. Okay, this is yellow and the green, round and wrinkled. What are Mendel's law? Mendel's law of inheritance. Gregor Mendel, again a reminder, Gregor Mendel, not George Mendel. Now Gregor Mendel, the genetic inheritance, which boils down to 3 simple concepts. Okay, that is law of dominance, law of segregation, and law of independent assortment. Law of dominance, what it is? Law of dominance says that when a tall plant is crossed with a dwarf plant, the F1 progeny formed is capital T small t, that is tall, but the genotype has changed. So over here the bird is wondering about that the genotype is different, but the phenotype is again the tall. So the tall plant can show the phenotype of capital T and capital T and small t. What is law of dominance? The law of dominance, these are the 3 postulates that characters are controlled by discrete units called factors, that is gene, and which is occurring in pairs. Third, in a dissimilar pair of factors. Over here, dissimilar pair of factors means the heterozygous condition, and the member of the pair dominates, explains the expression of only one of the parental character. Means over here it is explaining the capital T and the small t. Mendel's law of segregation. You know what is segregation? Segregation means separate. Now over here, segregation is on the basis of the gametes. Now you are seeing the capital T comma. What is the relevance of comma? The relevance of comma over here is the formation of the gamete. Means over here that gametes are formed, and that is why the Mendel's law of segregation is proving that how the dwarf plant is coming back in the F2 generation, because the recessive character was present in the F1 generation, that was capital T and the small t. Law of segregation. Mendel's law of segregation states that diploid organism is there, so it will have in the pair. That can be heterozygous, that can be homozygous. So, in the offspring, one allele is coming from the each parent, one from parental and another from the maternal. So, law of segregation ensures that a parent with the two copies of the E gene can pass either of the allele, that is the dominant or the recessive, and which is going to join and which is going to form the zygote, that is diploid. Okay, so the possibilities can be different. Now a simple question related to this is, a pea plant has alleles of both yellow peas and green peas. On the actual plant, all the peas are yellow because yellow allele is dominant. This pea plant is crossed with another plant with the genome capital Y and small y as well. Some of the offspring have green peas. Which law is this an example of? Law of segregation, law of independent assortment, or neither, or law of dominance? So answer me what it is. Okay, just go through it carefully. A hint is there that over here when the gametes is going to form, then they're going to separate, and there are many possibilities. It is a hint to this question. Now, the answer is, if you have thought about, that is law of segregation, because alleles have separate formation of gamete is there. Law of independent assortment shows that trait of different gene in inheritance separately when we are going for the dihybrid cross. That's why. Another question. An organism have two copies of the same allele. Two copies of the same allele means homozygous condition. One from each parent. Since the allele are the same, can law of segregation takes place in this gene for this organism? Yes, no, or yes, but with a different, in an organism with a different allele. Just think about it. What it can be. The answer is yes. Although the alleles have same phenotypic effect, they come from different parental source. If they are homozygous also, they are coming from the different parental. I told you, from maternal and one from parent, father, one from mother. That's why that is law of segregation. What is law of independent assortment? Now, Mendel began to wonder after he got succeeded in the monohybrid cross. He thought about, what if I take the two characters? Two characters means two traits, and that is dihybrid cross. Now, what happened when he took a green seed pod that is dominant and in a white flowering pea plant recessive? So, the dominant trait do not have to travel together when the traits are passed from parents to the offspring. So, law of independent assortment is applying to that is carried on the different chromosomes. So, there can be an interchange. Okay. Now, this is the diagram of the dihybrid cross by the Punnett square, where the parental generation is, that is Y by RR is over here is the dominant character, and in this green is the recessive character. And so when the gametes of the heterozygous condition parent are formed, then what are the possibilities? 9:3 is to 3:1. But what are these? This is also an example of it. Now, the pattern of inheritance, that is complete dominance, incomplete dominance, and codominance. Complete dominance is, now, complete means when one allele will overshadow the other allele totally, like the tall and the dwarf. That is complete. Incomplete means where the mixing, suppose I say red flower and a white flower, so the blending, mixing will be there and we will get a pink flower, a pink rose. That is incomplete. And codominance, जहाँ पे where the both the alleles of the gene are going to express red also and white also. Have you thought about the cows with the patches white and the brown? That is called as the road. That is the codominance. Let's come to it. In the next slide, it's the same diagrammatic representation of the test cross as given in your NCERT book of the homozygous recessive or the homozygous recessive that can be crossed either. Now over here is showing the pink flower formation by the red and the white. This is the result of a monohybrid cross in the plant of snapdragon where one allele is incompletely dominating over the other allele, and that is why the formation of the two pink flower, that is 1:2:1, that is the genotypic ratio, and same as the phenotypic ratio. This point is to be considered that the phenotypic and the genotypic ratio is the same. Now, codominance and multiple alleles like the white and the red. Okay, over here the roan which I told you, the white cow with the brown patches, that is the roan. Okay, you can just look forward for the genotypic. Now, genetic basis of the blood group in human is a good example of the multiple allelism. But not all the blood groups. Over here is more than two alternative forms alleles of a gene in a population occupying the same locus as the position on a chromosome or its homology is known as the multiple allelism. And multiple allelism can show the codominance also. Okay, that how many phenotypes can occur in human blood group A, B, O with alleles A, B, and I? Now, three are there. So, how many phenotypes can occur in the human blood group? That is A, B, O. Just go through the table of the formation and then solve it. Few more questions are there with you. Now, a white furred rabbit breeds with a black furred and the offspring have phenotype of grey. So, what it will be? In between it is there. So, blending is occurred. I have given you the hint. Thank you, class. Solve the questions and do send me the answer. Thank you.